Between 2023 and 2025, the South China Sea became a crucible of rising tensions and uncertainty. The world watched as the region, already fraught with overlapping territorial claims, saw a dramatic escalation in both rhetoric and action. The Philippines, a nation with a long history of maritime tradition, found itself at the center of a geopolitical storm, as its relationship with China grew increasingly strained. Diplomatic channels were tested to their limits, with high-stakes negotiations often ending in stalemate. The atmosphere was thick with suspicion, as both sides accused each other of provocation and overreach. Key flashpoints like the Second Thomas Shoal and Scarborough Shoal became the epicenters of confrontation. These remote reefs and shoals, though small in size, held immense symbolic and strategic value for both nations. China's increasingly aggressive tactics, ranging from the use of military-grade lasers to powerful water cannons, sent a clear message of dominance. Filipino vessels, often outnumbered and outgunned, faced relentless harassment as they attempted to assert their country's rights in contested waters. The situation reached a boiling point in June 2024, when a violent maritime clash left several Filipino sailors injured. The incident shocked the nation and drew international condemnation, highlighting the real human cost of the ongoing standoff. In the aftermath, Manila's government convened emergency meetings, seeking both to de-escalate the crisis and to prepare for further provocations. For a brief moment, tensions appeared to subside, but China's continued assertiveness only deepened the sense of urgency among Filipino leaders. Across the Philippines, public outrage surged. Massive protests erupted in cities and towns as citizens rallied behind their sailors and demanded a firm response. Each hostile act by China only served to strengthen the Philippines' national consensus, uniting people from all walks of life in defense of their sovereignty. For many, the struggle was no longer just about territory or resources, it became a deeply personal fight for national dignity, survival, and the future of the next generation. Families of sailors held vigils, their faces etched with worry and resolve, as the nation braced for what might come next. In response, the Philippines began forging new alliances, seeking support from regional and global partners. The stage was set for a historic strategic realignment, one that would reshape the balance of power in the South China Sea for years to come. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. initiated a significant foreign policy shift, rejecting appeasement towards China. The Marcos Doctrine emphasized national sovereignty and territorial integrity. The strategy of assertive transparency exposed China's aggressive actions in real time. Journalists documented Chinese harassment, shifting the narrative to global public opinion. This transparency galvanized domestic support and clarified international disputes. President Marcos Jr. championed this direction, framing the struggle as a global principle. His leadership provided the political will to sustain the nation's bold stance. This fundamentally altered the strategic calculus in the region. In recent years, the Philippines has taken bold steps to revitalize its alliance with the United States, breathing new energy into a partnership that has shaped the region for generations. This renewed commitment is not just a diplomatic gesture, it is a strategic move reflecting the evolving security landscape in the Indo-Pacific and the shared interests of both nations. At the heart of this alliance lies the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty, a historic agreement that has served as the bedrock of U.S.-Philippine relations for over 70 years. By reaffirming this treaty, both countries signal their unwavering commitment to each other's defense and sovereignty. U.S. officials have made it clear that any armed attack on Philippine forces, whether on land, at sea, or in the air, would immediately trigger American defense commitments. This assurance has become even more significant as regional tensions rise. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has drawn a firm line in the sand, declaring that any Filipino death at the hands of a foreign power would be considered a red line, an act that would demand a decisive response. His words underscore the seriousness with which the Philippines views its national security. In the face of growing Chinese assertiveness in the South China Sea, the alliance has evolved from a symbolic partnership into a living, breathing deterrent. Joint patrols and increased military presence send a clear message. Any threat to Philippine sovereignty will be met with unified resolve. The United States has ramped up military and logistical support, providing advanced equipment, intelligence sharing, and humanitarian assistance. These efforts have not only strengthened the Philippine military but also deepened trust and cooperation between the two nations. Regular joint exercises, from amphibious landings to complex naval maneuvers, have showcased the combined strength and interoperability of U.S. and Philippine forces. These drills are more than displays of power, they are vital preparations for real-world contingencies. The visible presence of U.S. military assets on Philippine soil and in its waters has provided a crucial security shield, reassuring the Filipino people and deterring potential aggressors. Today, this revitalized alliance stands as the cornerstone of the Philippines' strategy to secure its sovereignty, protect its people, and ensure a stable, prosperous future in a rapidly changing world. The Philippines launched a determined legal and diplomatic offensive, leveraging the 2016 Arbitral Tribunal ruling. This ruling was a landmark decision that invalidated China's expansive claims over the South China Sea, a region rich in resources and strategic importance. The tribunal's decision became a cornerstone of the Philippines' foreign policy, providing a legal basis to challenge China's actions and assert its own maritime rights. The ruling invalidated China's expansive claims, becoming a central tool of statecraft. It empowered the Philippines to rally international support and build coalitions with other nations affected by China's maritime assertiveness. This legal victory was not just a win for the Philippines but also for the rule of law in international relations. Domestic legislation codified maritime boundaries, aligning with international law. The Philippine Congress passed several laws to reinforce the tribunal's ruling, ensuring that the country's maritime zones were clearly defined and protected. These legislative efforts were crucial in translating international principles into national policy. China's retaliatory actions highlighted its isolation on the issue. Despite its economic and military power, China found itself increasingly isolated diplomatically. The international community, including major powers and regional organizations, largely supported the tribunal's decision, putting pressure on China to adhere to international norms. The Philippines considered filing a new international case against China for environmental damage. The destruction of coral reefs and other marine ecosystems by Chinese activities in the South China Sea was a significant concern. Filipino officials gathered evidence and prepared to take further legal action to hold China accountable for its environmental impact. This legal strategy positioned the Philippines as a responsible stakeholder. By adhering to international law and seeking peaceful resolutions through legal means, the Philippines demonstrated its commitment to a rules-based international order. This approach garnered respect and support from the global community. The Maritime Zones Act transformed international principles into national law. This act was a significant step in solidifying the Philippines' maritime claims and ensuring that its rights were protected under both national and international law. It provided a clear legal framework for the country's maritime governance. The campaign complemented military modernization and diplomatic efforts. The Philippines invested in modernizing its navy and enhancing its defense capabilities to protect its maritime interests. Diplomatic efforts were also intensified, with Filipino diplomats engaging with their counterparts around the world to build support for their cause. The Philippines fought for the principle that right, not might, should govern state relations. This principle was at the heart of their legal and diplomatic offensive, emphasizing that international disputes should be resolved through law and dialogue, not through force or coercion. The Philippines' stance resonated with many nations, reinforcing the importance of a rules-based international order. The Philippines pursued a multilateral approach, building a network of security partnerships. A trilateral partnership with the US and Japan solidified this new network. Japan became a crucial security partner, providing patrol vessels and defense gear. Australia, India, and European powers strengthened security ties with the Philippines. Joint patrols and exercises demonstrated collective resolve against China's tactics. This web of alliances amplified the Philippines' diplomatic voice and defensive posture. China responded to the Philippines' defiance with intensified rhetoric and assertive actions. Beijing painted the Philippines as the provocateur, manipulated by external forces. This narrative justified China's aggressive behavior as necessary law enforcement. China ignored the 2016 arbitral ruling, insisting on its historic rights. A new map expanded China's claims, encroaching on neighbors' economic zones. China's actions were seen as a challenge to international norms. The Philippines' resilience to economic and political pressure frustrated Beijing. China's miscalculations strengthened the Philippines' resolve to stand against coercion. Internal stability was crucial for the Philippines' strategic focus outward. The government weakened insurgencies, allowing a shift to external defense. Peace initiatives in Mindanao advanced regional stability. The military prioritized territorial defense, reallocating resources to naval operations. New equipment integrated into a coherent defense strategy against threats. Internal peace provided a foundation for assertive foreign policy. The Philippines faced external challenges with greater strength and unity. A decisive shift in public opinion propelled the strategic pivot away from China. Aggression in the West Philippine Sea fueled anti-China sentiment. Public support for the government's stance was overwhelmingly high. Economic diversification reduced reliance on China, enhancing national security. The Luzon Economic Corridor aligned the Philippines with democratic partners. This economic realignment reinforced the strategic pivot and national resolve. By 2025, the Philippines' strategic trajectory was fundamentally altered. The nation committed to a future anchored in international law and democratic alliances. New laws and defense assets represented long-term investments in a new posture. Deep-rooted alliances created inertia against a return to appeasement. China's actions ensured the permanence of this shift. The Philippines declared independence from coercive influence. It stood for rule of law, allied strength, and national identity. This historic pivot set the Philippines on a new course toward a brighter future.